Look at him in his cone of shame. Shame. So today I'm gonna do a tattoo vlog. As you guys may have seen on my Instagram, I got a tattoo. I'm gonna go through the process of how I thought about it, why I went to the artist that I did, what was the process like, the whole shebang. I've received like so many questions about like pain, about recovery, about the price, and about the placement and everything. So I'm just gonna give you a very unfiltered vlog with like footage, and I'm just gonna walk you through it as someone who didn't ever have tattoos in the past and now I have one. Prior to, I'd say like last year, I never actually considered like getting a tattoo, and it's not because I had any sort of like stigma against it or anything. It's just because like I've always been a very fickle-minded person. I just don't know how it would be like to have something like so permanent on your skin. So I didn't want to get something done when I was like 16 and then like regret it, because I know people who like regret their tattoos, and not that you need to put a lot of thought into every single one. You can just collect art, you can just get something silly, that's fine. But I was just the kind of person that like, if I want to do it, especially for my first time, I want to do it right. On top of that also, you know, we hear the same old thing like, if you want to work in an office, if you want to get like a job, this and that, blah blah blah, you can't get tattoos, you can't get visible tattoos and this and that. So I was just like, that's a lot of trouble. That was my thinking like primarily when I was like 18 and below. And then when I was older, I started seeing like other people's tattoos, and I've always really liked them, like even before that, because it's just art on the skin, right? So I was like, oh my god, that's so cool, tell me more. And now that I'm like a content creator, I'm like an art hole, like nobody can take that away from me. So, you know, I'm a creative person. I was like, you know what, why not? Like, quite honestly, look at me. What are the chances of me being in an office 9 to 5 in a place that doesn't allow or doesn't like, you know, approve of tattoos? You know, it just doesn't make sense. I feel like I wouldn't be in that situation truly ever. So I was like, okay, you know what? Like, maybe we can like think about it. So with the mindset of being open to like getting a tattoo, I just follow a bunch of different artists. Most of them are overseas. And then one of my friends like has a tattoo from this guy called Paul Stillen. He's a Melbourne-based like artist, and he does a lot of botanicals. And I saw this one particular like tattoo which was really beautiful. It's of a warata, but it was like wrapped around the hand here. I'm gonna insert a photo here, and I was so enamored. Like, I've never seen something like quite this beautiful before, because usually you get a lot of like placements on like your forearm, on your upper arm here, your shoulder. So I never seen anywhere like right here on the elbow. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention. So I assumed that I would just wait for Paul to come to Singapore again and then like book an appointment with him. But then I was also dating somebody, and he had like a floral lower sleeve, and I was like, yo, that's really really nice. And it was really beautiful, it was very detailed, and it wasn't exactly what I thought I would get necessarily, because I'd always assumed myself to be like an outline, like thick black outline kind of girl and no shading. Like, that's just the kind of style that I like. It's very punchy, it's very like clean. But yeah, his tattoo is really nice, and like I said, I like to talk to people about their tattoos, right? So I kind of was talking to him and I was like, hey, where do you get the tattoo? It's like so nice. And he was like, oh, it's Maxine, like, you know, from Iron Fist, like she's really good. He gets stopped like on the streets just to be like, yo, that's Maxine, right? You know, from people that know lah. So I was like, well, that's really cool, like let me check out her Instagram. So I looked and I was like, dang, that looks really great. And I was like really quite excited. Like, she does very similar like botanical stuff, but her stuff is different because it's a bit softer and the shading is like more intricate, and it just looks beautiful. I mean, that's why I chose her. And I like the fact that like my first tattoo was gonna be from a Singaporean woman artist. Like, I thought that would make a lot more sense to me as a person lah. Like, I mean, some people don't care about this shit, like, you know, some people will just get it wherever, but to me it's like, you know, Maxine's like my age, like she's Singaporean, she's a woman. It would be like my honor, honestly, to like collect a piece of like her art on my skin. So I was like, okay, let's just like hop on and see. And like, she's so popular. So her books were already closed then, because that was like the first half of 2019. I wanted to book it like ASAP, and then she was like, oh, books only open in July. So I waited all the way until July, and she didn't get back to me. And then I was like, dang, like, did she not see my email. Fuck. When you send her an email that is an automated like reply being like, okay, this is how my schedule looks like, and you'll need to indicate your placement, like whether it's left or right of your intended area, the size in centimeters, the subjects, reference images if any, and like a consultation time and a day. She then also explains like how her deposits work and then areas she does not tattoo on, and you have to sign a contract, more of like a I understand what the procedure is, because it is needles going into your skin, right? It's just like standard procedure. So when I first sent her these messages, it was last year, and then I think like she accidentally missed out my message, because I'm sure she gets like a ton, you know, and I'm sure some people like spam her multiple times. Okay, I was very good. I always reply to like my same thread, so it's like just me occupying that like one line, but I think she missed it by accident, so I just sent her another message to be like, hey, I don't know if you saw, but like, you know, I'm here, I'm very excited, you know, if you can like, you know. And then she replied immediately and she was like, oh, I'm so sorry I missed out. And then we started like discussing from there. I showed her some sample images and I noticed that she does like chrysanthemums a lot and really well. I love chrysanthemum. Like, I love the taste of chrysanthemum, I love the smell of chrysanthemum, I love the duality of chrysanthemums. Yeah, I just feel like the chrysanthemum is like a very complex and very like beautiful, but also like low-key kind of flower. Initially when I was younger, I thought I would get something like a rose because like it's really cool. Like I love roses on like forearms. I think it's like a really nice look. But also I know like 2-3 friends who have like roses on their forearms, and I was like, I don't want to look the same lah, like we all went to get the same matching tattoo. So I really thought long and hard about the kind of botanical. I knew I wanted botanical, so I was like, what kind of like a flower or plant would I want to get? And this is also like a commonsensical thing. Like obviously I would want to get something that I know that the artist is good at doing, that enjoys doing. So Maxine does a lot of botanicals. She does a lot of like detailed works, and her petal work and her shading is like amazing. So obviously like going to her, I'm not gonna fucking show her like a weird quirky like blob in just an outline and ask her to do that, because that's not what she specializes in. So I wanted to make sure that I was going in there to collect like a signature piece of art. So after a little bit of back and forth on the email, we finally met for the consultation, and bitch, I was so intimidated because like I'm like such a noob lah. I go into the freaking like tattoo studio, right, and I'm like completely uninked, you know. It's just a little bit paiseh to go in and see everyone like have such wonderful tattoos, and I'm like first one, and I'm a bit like swaku, so I just like went in and I was like, hey, like what's up, and like Maxine is beautiful, you know, and I'm just like, oh damn. So we had the consultation. It was very chill. She kind of asked me to like map out, you know, which hand I wanted my right because I'm left-handed. We did the placement. She asked me about like what kind of a look I wanted to go for in terms of the chrysanthemum, and I told her about how I wanted the leaves to wrap. I wanted a less bulky like chrysanthemum. I don't want something that's too full because it would look very blocky in this like delicate body part, right? It was very fast. It was like 10 to 15 minutes. She asked me if I had a budget, and I was like I don't know how much like tattoos cost, to be quite honest. And I was just like 500, like so she was like, it's gonna be a bit more, and I was like, okay, that's fine, like that's cool, you know, just like excited to see what you come up with. So this consultation was actually a few days before I got noodles. It was like the 26th or 28th of like January, and then she was on her little iPad and she looked at me and she was like, so when would you like to get this like tattoo? And I was like, oh, ASAP, like whenever you're free, because I can honestly make time lah. Like I work from home, I'm like freelance or anything, so I'm like chill. I was like, you want to do now also can? I was like, JK. And so she was like, okay, I'll get you my next like soonest available date. And then she was like, how about July? And then I was like, oh, July. So when she said soonest available, I like assumed that it was like maybe 2 months from now. Like I didn't realize it was gonna be like really that long. So I was like, oh, okay. So if you've never gotten it before, like going into this, you just want to have the mental prep law, you know, especially for someone as popular as Maxine, like you're gonna have to wait a while. So I was fine. I was gonna give myself some time to like mentally prep for it, and I was just gonna be like excited lah, like, you know, I'm in the queue, you know, I'm just waiting to get my tat done. So I was like, yay. After January, like we didn't speak all the way until like July hit, and I was concerned because I was like, well, with like everything happening with like circuit breaker, does that mean that like all of her appointments were like pushed back? Am I pushed back like some more also? Like how does that work? I didn't get any notifications from her, but I didn't ask either because I didn't want to like bombard her email, you know. So I was just like, alright, I'll just wait and see how it is. And I was gonna ask her like the week of, but she actually emailed me first and she was like, hey, are we still down? And I was like, yeah, great. That day came, I went to Iron Fist Studios. They moved a little bit down. So previously they were in between like Chinatown and Outram Park, a bit nearer to Outram Park area, and then they moved to Chinatown. It was like another shop house as well, and it was beautiful. Okay, the previous studio was really cute. Also, I was like intimidated, so I didn't like go around to look, but the new studio is so like airy and open. Previously it was like a 2-story, so the second floor is kind of like an attic, so it's very cozy, but it was not like the same like open light like feel that the new studio has, and it's just like really beautiful. Honestly, the furniture, the art on the wall, like just the vibes in general, like dang, like if I could have my future house look a little something like that, I would be quite happy. And like groovy music was playing. It was just like very good vibes. It was very chill. When I went, I think it was just when like Iron Fist like opened, so it was just me and Maxine and one other girl, Brandy. I think she's another like resident artist, so it was just the 3 of us, and there was another guy who was pretty cool, so we were just like talking, and you know, I'm just like eavesdropping on their conversation, kind of chimed in, and we just like kind of talked, and then finally she was like pasting the blue sticker thing, and then she like let me look in the mirror, and I was just like looking at it, and I was like, dang. So a few days before, when she confirmed the appointment with me, she actually sent me a sketch, a very rough like outline of how the chrysanthemum would look, and I was initially a little bit like, wait, but this is not really what I was imagining. I was imagining something that was a little bit more pointed here and that wrapped around in almost like an inverted triangle shape. And what she had sent me was really like a rectangle. So I was like, oh no, like wait, it might look blocky. So I kind of expressed to her my concerns, and she was like, no problem, like when you get into the studio, like we'll just take a look at it like while it's on your body and see how it looks. So after she pasted it and I looked at it, I still felt like it was just a little different from what I had expected. I don't know if you can see, but this leaf was actually maybe half an inch, like maybe here, jutting a little bit more out. So I don't know if this makes sense, but I thought it was kind of not as like aesthetically pleasing to have it so out, to make it look kind of blocky, but then there's like a lot of empty space here. So I just asked her if it was okay to flatten this leaf and make it a little fatter so that it flows this way instead of it being like a block like that. And then she just like very easily like cut out the guide. Oh my god, I don't know what it's called lah. The blue contact sticker guide thing, okay? So she moved the leaf like up and in, and when I looked at it again, like it made a lot more sense. It looked more like flow, and I was like very nervous because I didn't want to make her feel like I was questioning her art, you know what I mean? But like my personal preference was that I wanted it like closer and more flowy, and then she was like, yeah, actually looks better. And then I was like, okay, yay, she approved. So it's like, okay, good, like I'm settled, let's do it. This dumbass hole, this dumbass hole, I don't know if you're like I know a lot of y'all like to listen to the audio and not look at the face, but basically I'm pointing to myself. Inexperienced, overly cocky bitch. I knew it was gonna be like 4 to 5 hours, so I brought my iPad thinking that I was gonna be able to do work while getting tattooed. Like I thought it was gonna be like this, and then I can just like, you know, work on my stuff. But she made me lie down, and I was like, oh, must lie down now. Then she's like, yeah, it's a bit more comfortable. Then I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, alright, I guess I can't do my work then, it's okay, let me just like lie down. By the way, I went alone. I don't know if like people usually accompany other people for tattoos, but my friends did ask like, hey, how come like you went alone? I'm like, huh? Like 5 hours you expect like someone to wait with you, man? But usually it's like mental encouragement, support, someone's hands to hold. But Maxine was very sweet, and I could just kind of like talk to her. So obviously being my first time tattooing, I was just like chatting, and I was like, hey, is it painful? Then she was like, not really, like this part here is okay, but this ditch, like this fold part is quite painful lah, some people say. Then I was like, oh, okay. And I don't know why I was being so cocky about this. Like, I genuinely didn't expect it to hurt. I just thought it was gonna be uncomfortable because I have a very high pain tolerance, and I've never really like bat my eyes. So I was like, whatever, like it's not gonna hurt lah, whatever, it's just like a small needle. And people always say, So now I don't know if these people are fucking acting or what, but everyone's always like, oh yeah, it doesn't hurt lah, it's totally fine. Don't know if like my skin is extra like thin or what, but fuck, that shit hurt.
Ready? Mm-hmm. That okay. Alright. Oh my god.
So when she started here, I was like, oh, that's alright. That's like a 3 out of 10. Like, it was definitely more painful than I imagined. Also because I had imagined for it not to hurt at all. I don't know why. I didn't really like prep myself for the pain. I was just like, oh, just imagine you got a snag nail, right? Like a jagged nail, and then someone like pressing you really hard in a very precise way. That's kind of how it feels like. So it goes slow and then it goes up, and then it goes slow and it goes up again. When she first started working on the outline, I was very receptive to the sensation. So I think because I'm so primed to receive it, like it felt more painful, like discomfort for me. And I was like, this is fine, but like, dang, as it goes on, that's when it starts like being more uncomfortable. I don't want to say ADHD, but it most likely is. Like, I just cannot stay still and I'm quite like claustrophobic. So even when I do like my eyelash appointments, right, I actually have to meditate like while doing it halfway because I get like panic attacks because I can't open my eyes, I can't move my head, like I just have to like move my feet underneath the thing. It's a whole thing. Like I have to move. I'm like a shark, I can't stand still. So having to, you know, really lay your hand out like this and not move at all while she's doing something that's so precise. I think it's the stress of like not being able to move too. I don't know, like as it went on, I just got really you know, I don't know if this makes sense. I don't know if anyone else like understands what I'm trying to say, but it's just like an uneasiness that becomes painful though, because then your skin is like a bit raw, right? And then it's like going and going. She uses a very fine needle, so honestly it shouldn't have hurt so much. Like compared to other like thicker needles, it would have hurt more, right? But maybe it's just because like I've never experienced that before. I'm just super sensitive to this particular area on the inside and like right here. I don't know if there are nerves here or what, but embarrassingly my right leg started to like spaz, like every time she I would like that, and I'm like, oh my god, fucking sorry. Oh, it's so embarrassing, you know, because to me at that point, like when she was doing the outline, it was just discomfort. Like it wasn't painful, right? But my leg was betraying the shit out of me, man. My leg was like and I was like, oh my god, every time she goes in with the needle, my leg goes and so I was like, hey Maxine, like sorry, yeah, my leg, I don't know why I can't control it. And the more I tried to control it, the more it was spaz. I was like fucking embarrassed. She was like, it's okay, like everyone's body like reacts to it differently, like I've seen worse. And I was like, really? What have you seen? And then she couldn't really give me an answer, and I was like, I am the fucking weirdest. It's a very girly tattoo, right? It's a very feminine tattoo, and it's sort of like not that big, you know. The other guy like right opposite me was getting like his sternum fucking tattooed and he's like falling asleep. So I was like, god damn it, Brenda, get it together, like chill bro, like just fucking get it done. So maybe it was the embarrassment, it was the stress, it was like having to stay still, it was, you know, experiencing something new in general. And like I was like trying to text Mavis also, and I was just like, you know, it was just, I was trying to do a lot of things. I was still trying to do a bit of work then also, and I was like, fuck. And the thing about the pain of like tattooing is that once the needle stops, like it lifts from your skin, you really almost don't remember the pain. Like I can tell you now that it really hurt a lot because I remember that I was like, fuck, it really hurt, and I've never had such a visceral like physical reaction to pain before. But I can't really like truly give you a very clear explanation of the pain, like other than, you know, getting that little analogy in. And I can't even really remember like where it hurt other than the fact that it was like painful here and like on this ditch. So it's very interesting, and a little bit above here as well. Ooh. So initially when she was doing the outline, I found that when I looked at her, it hurt less because I could see when she was going in, so I was like physically prepared, and then I could also see what she was doing. So you know, when you're so enamored, when you're so like fascinated by something, you just sort of like, never mind lah, like the pain is like part and parcel of it. So that was me for a while. I was like kind of looking at it, and I was like trying to film it also. I was like very, very fucking swaku, you know, like trying to fucking film it and trying to look at it and like lying down and being like heh, and then spasming. So yeah, it was really like not the best time for me. But it was also my problem lah, you know, my first tattoo, I get it in a painful like placement. I didn't even know that it was gonna be painful, so like I didn't really truly expect it to be that painful. Another thing that added to the discomfort is that you never know when it's starting and stopping, so it's not really rhythmic. It's not something that you can predict, and it's just a very irregular pattern of it like hurting and not hurting, hurting and not hurting. And the moment it stops, right, you really cannot feel the pain until she goes back into the needle. Then you're like, oh fuck yeah, oh my god, that shit hurt. So the only times I found some respite were when she was like, you know, clearing the ink, you know, soaping it up, wiping it away. Maybe it's the stress, maybe it's really just my skin being like extra sensitive. Even when the paper towel, like the tip of the paper towel, it's just a little bit like pointy, right, touched my skin, I was already like, I would still spasm like a little bit because your skin is just like so sensitive and so raw, and anything can like sort of aggravate it and make it hurt. So it was quite embarrassing. But yeah, I was just like, for the art, man. Like, I wanted to do this for so long, so I was just like, obviously I don't want to stop and I don't want to mess her up, like I don't want to spasm or anything, so I just kept it like as chill as I can and moved like my other body to compensate. The moment we got here, I don't know if you can see, but there's a lot of outlining to be done like near the bulb of the chrysanthemum. That shit hurt. That shit hurt so bad. A very fine vibrating needle going in and scratching it. It's just a very strange sensation. And like I said, because it's so unpredictable and like, you know, you never know when you can like take a breath. It's not like you can be like exhale and then like, you know, push through and whatever. It's like while you're breathing, it's like ding ding ding, and you're like, oh my god, oh my god. So I had to take the break, and then after I took the break, the outline was done, and I looked at it and I went to the toilet to pee, to drink some water, and I just like, you know, like just gave myself like a little moment to chill. And I was like, it looks good in the toilet. I was already like, look in the mirror like and I also asked her, I was like, oh Maxine, do you like separate like outline one session, shading one session, or do people just do it all in one session? So she was like, oh, usually for this size and smaller, people usually do it in one session, but for bigger pieces, like it will be outline and then shading another day. And then she was like, but if you cannot take it, just let me know, okay? It's okay, I can just like shift you, you know, shading another day. And I was like, no, I get it done, like it's okay, I'm fine. Spasm. So for outlining, I would say the first time when she goes down with the needle, it's like a 3 out of 10, but as it goes up, the same needle going through like a similar area would get to a 6 because of just like the discomfort in general. And then right at the fold, I would say it's like a 7 or 8. It was quite painful. And I know like she did her best and she just went really fast, and like honestly she did such a great job, but it was really painful. And I thought shading was gonna be actually a lot more painful, so I was quite mentally prepared for it. So when she actually started shading, I was like, oh, that's fine, that's okay. And she's like, yeah, it's better, right? The pain is a little bit more sort of like diffused because she does this. So she started shading the leaves first before going on to the chrysanthemum. And when she went here, like, you look at this and you're like, oh, nice, like, you know, just heavy saturation, like, you know, chill. Guys, she went over the same spot to build this like gentle gradient look, right, around 6 to 7 times. Even though the actual like shading thing didn't hurt, because she went over and over and over to slowly build that sort of gradient, that shading, like my skin was very raw. It was so raw and it was so sensitive. I just like sat there and I just tried to be as good as I could. I started watching videos. I started like doing all sorts of things to distract myself, honestly. Previously, I said like outlining, looking at her was more fun, right? But for shading, like I did, and then I noticed like the more I looked at her do the shading, I think the more I registered that it was like whipping on my skin and it started hurting more. So I realized when I look away and when I just do other things, I get distracted, it was like less painful. I just did whatever I could to distract myself. I was like looking around at the other people getting tatted as well, and I was like, oh, cool. So after the leaves were done, we took another break, just a short one. She said I need a break, but I know maybe she was just doing it for me, and I was like, that's kind of nice. And then we went back in again, and this time around, like I had my earphones in, because previously like I really liked the vibe, I liked the music that they were playing, so I was like really sort of like in the zone. I didn't really need to listen to my own music because the music was good, so I was like chilling. But I think like being so present is also not such a good thing, because like I said, I was so receptive to the pain and to the environment. So actually towards the end, I found that like blocking myself off and like just doing my own thing, and like I stopped talking to like Maxine during that time, engrossed in my own like videos, music, that sort of thing. And I found that that was a little bit better, just because it distracted me lah. Because after a while, like after 3-4 hours of sitting there, like you get antsy, like you get really like, oh my god, how long is this gonna take? But I wanted it to be beautiful, so I don't want to rush you, but like, oh my god. It was okay for like 5 to 10 minutes, and then after that I just like couldn't, because she went up to the ditch, like the shading here, and I just like couldn't. So you know, on the bed your knees are kind of up. I was like just kind of like turning and just being like, oh fuck. I was like turning to her. I was gonna ask her if I could go to the bathroom, and then she was like, you want a break? I was like, yes, yes. And she's like, okay, like let's just like take a 5-minute break. And I was like, okay. So I like drank my water, I went to pee. I don't encourage this behavior, okay? I don't smoke like every day, but I do smoke when I am stressed. At that point I was stressed and I really needed something to like calm me down. So I just like bummed a cigarette from her, and then we were kind of talking about it, and she was like, hey yeah, actually there was a point that you stopped like spasming. Then I was like, you know what I was doing or not? And she was like, what? Then I was like, I was listening to Megan Stallion, and I was like, cause you know you're wearing a mask, right? So she couldn't see that I was like lip syncing, and in my head like I was like rapping, and like I told her I was like being a bad bitch, and then like she laughed, and I was like so fucking embarrassed, but it worked. And then she was like, that's good, and I was like, yeah. And after that 5-minute break, she was like, hey, we're like 80% done, you know, it's probably gonna be like maybe half an hour more, like it's gonna be fast, okay, like just tahan. Then I was like, can, I'm ready. That 5-minute smoke break, honestly, you know how like, okay, when you run a marathon and it gets like really fucking difficult in the middle, but then after that you just kind of like run the whole thing and you're like, oh, what was that? And you're like, oh, I'm fine by the end of the race. Like, it's just that feeling, like after that 5-minute break, after that, like I don't know whether the nicotine like did something to like calm me down or what, but like after that 5-minute break, when I put my earphones back in, so I knew that like Megan Stallion worked, right? So I started like just playing her discography, like don't know why, like my body just like didn't feel the same amount of pain anymore. And it's very interesting because prior to this break, like I didn't want to take a break because I thought that if I took the break, 5 minutes later my skin would be even more raw, even more sensitive, and it'll be even more painful. And I asked Maxine, I was like, does this happen? Like, does your skin get more raw? And she was like, yeah, actually, yeah, it does. So I was like, oh my god, like if this is already that painful now, obviously I want you to finish like everything before like I wait until it gets more painful, right? But the fact that like my skin really got that break, I don't know how to explain it. I don't know if my body just kind of got used to the pain, or if I just like wasn't paying that much attention to it anymore. But after that it was a breeze. Like after that, I would say the pain dropped from like being a 9.5 to like a 5 to a 5.5. It went so well. By the end of that half hour, the last half an hour, she like removed like the, I don't know if it's called a jacket, of like the tattoo needle and like the, you know, the equipment, and she was like already like sort of like untaping it, and I was like, huh, are we done already? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, and I looked at it and it was fucking beautiful. I felt like, you know, getting tattooed was a very interesting process because your skin is fine. You can do this and it won't like necessarily hurt. Not that you should be like, you know, touching it like that. She pumped a little bit of that like foamy soap and she like sort of washed away the ink and like she let it dry. It's not like a burn. Like it doesn't ring while the needle is like not around. Like it sort of stopped hurting the moment she lifted up the needle already. After she cleaned it with soap, it dried. She actually used like a contact sticker kind of wrapper thing. It was like very heavy duty to wrap the arm, and then she like just pasted it over. It's so that like your tattoo doesn't get infected. It's got some time to heal and everything. She also told me like in the next few days you'll experience like itchiness, but do not scratch. Like don't fucking scratch it. If you want, you can put like a light moisturizer, but usually like she said she doesn't put anything, and then after that like just to put like sunblock and that kind of thing. And I don't know what else she told me versus like what I saw online, because I just went to do my research like just to make sure like everything is okay. And then after that she took photos and I went to look at myself in the mirror and I was very happy and I was like, oh my god, I finally got it. And you know when it's done, you look at it and like I said, you forget the pain. And before that she was like, oh so cute, like it's quite nice, then maybe like next time you can get one here too, it'll be like symmetrical. And I was like, first of all, fuck, I never thought of that. Second of all, I love that idea. And third of all, why does it have to hurt so much? While I was getting the tattoo done, I was like, never ever am I gonna fucking get a tattoo in this spot. Like, it's so freaking painful. But now I'm already considering that. A lot of y'all have also asked me like what is the price, because you just like don't know how much to set aside, right? So if I'm not wrong, usually they can spend from like 200 for small ones, 250 to like bigger ones that can cost like thousands of dollars. Mine here was 600. I feel like it's a very fair amount because she took between like 4 to 5 hours to actually do it. And if you really like split the hours up, right, considering her expertise and considering that she spent like literally half the day on me, right, I was like, that's very worth it. And I don't want to freaking argue with an artist over how much they charge, you know what I mean? And for the quality of her work, not just how good and how beautiful it looks, but how well it healed as well. And I also want to talk about that recovery bit, because a lot of times they say like, okay, you gotta do this for recovery, you gotta do this for recovery. No matter how well you try and do like aftercare for a tattoo, 60 to 70% of how well it recovers is based on like your tattoo artist's like expertise, whether they go over your skin like one too many times, how deep they go, you know, that kind of thing. So dude, my recovery was so effortless. Like, it was really so smooth. My first day I came back, she said at night when you shower you can just take it off, so I just took the peel off and I made the mistake of just like trying to rip it out like that. Dude, my skin was literally like on the contact and it was like leaving my arm. That's how like bad it was. So apparently you're supposed to like maybe add some water to it gently to sort of like dislodge the contact paper, because it's really like heavy duty, right? But I didn't know, and like I didn't read it until like I saw afterwards, right? I used a very like sensitive skin, friendly, like no parabens, no scents, no nothing. They really do encourage you to not use anything that's like full of essential oils or scents or like flavors and perfumes, because you don't want to irritate that area. Like, this area is recovering, so just use the most mild and like gentle, like baby appropriate kind of soap as you can. I had the impression that you had to put like moisturizer because it will start flaking, or you have to put ointments on it so that it seals it in and makes it look more vibrant, all that kind of stuff. But because Maxine said like you don't really have to put anything on, and then I was like doing more research back home, and they actually said it's better to allow your tattoo to breathe and to recover like for the first few days. Like, don't slap on like Vaseline or something like that, because it just kind of clogs your pores and your skin will be like prone to infection or like smudging, that kind of thing. So I just let it be. The next few days, oh my god, it was so itchy, and I knew that I couldn't scratch it, obviously. So what I did was I cut my nails, and then I would wear like a long sleeve, like kind of a loose like sweatshirt to sleep, and then in the day I would just wear something like this where it doesn't touch the tattoo. So another thing you're not supposed to do is to run, to work out. Basically, like, don't let the muscles that are like sort of in the area like stretch out or like, you know, get sweaty and like dirty, prone to infections, that kind of thing. Don't swim, don't tan. And even as it like scabs over, it's kind of like, you know how you suntan and it's sort of like starts like scabbing over and peeling like your skin. It's very important to not peel on the scabs. It's very tempting, trust me. Very important to not pick at it, to peel it, to scratch it, to like sort of mess around with it. Just let it be. And so that's what I did. I tried to do everything that I possibly could. On the days where it was like super freaking itchy, I would just get like a piece of tissue, put it on top, and then do this. So it's been a little over 2 weeks and I really have like no issues whatsoever. I started working out again on the 20th, so that's like really just nice at the 2-week mark. So from what I understand, your tattoo is healed like 80 to 90% by the 2 to 3 week mark, and then it completely heals over the next few months, like just very slowly and that kind of thing. But I honestly feel at least 95% recovered. There's no redness at all, there's no peeling at all. It's very rarely itchy. Usually like the folds here, you're just a little bit more like when it's sweaty, it's just a little bit more. And it's been great and I love it, and I want to get like other stuff, not just like the matching like symmetrical piece, maybe a different flower, I don't know. I just like, oh, I'm so excited. It is very fun. Like, it's just like collecting like little art stuff, and I learned to like not really take myself so seriously in how I want to present myself to the world. Okay, so basically that's my experience, and a very unfiltered process of getting my tattoo. My first ever tattoo, not gonna be my last for sure. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel down below. I make new videos every week, so don't forget to turn on the bell. Some of you guys don't get notified when I make new videos, so usually I do them like on Sundays, sometimes on Wednesdays, but just in case, you know, just turn them on whenever. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye!